Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Maurice Brown Comedy Show on bogradio.fm. This is the NFL edition, and hanging out with my good buddy Antoine A.S. Stewart from the Washington, D.C. area. What's going on, Stu?
What's going on, Mo? How's it going?
Everything's going well. Everything's going well. The NFL is definitely moving and grooving this time of year. Nowadays, right now, it looks like we got some interesting things developing in the NFL. We were talking about last night the Commanders and the Bengals. I think that was one of the more eye-opening games of week three, 38-33. Who would have thunk it that the young buck Jaden Daniels and the Commanders could go to Cincinnati and put up that many points and beat Joe Burrow?
Yeah, that was a great
Uh,
game. Great game.
well, I'm just looking at. I know the Commander fans are already saying Super Bowl. You know how they do. But anyway, that being said, we're going to talk a little bit more about that later because I want to talk about Jaden Daniels. Buffalo destroyed the Jags, 47-10. I don't think the Bills have been tested yet. Everybody's proclaiming Josh Allen as the MVP, and the Bills are the team to beat the Chiefs. Your thoughts?
Yeah, the Bills are starting off how Dallas usually starts off. They look good early against, not so good teams. They're doing what they're supposed to do, putting their foot on the neck of, not so good teams, not any true contenders. But it's a new season. So, all the real contenders, we still yet to see who's really going to come out the pack. We know someone teams for certain, like the Chiefs. But other than that, I'm not going to say I'm impressed, but he's playing the way he should be playing against mediocre teams.
And we have Green Bay beating the Titans 30-14. You got to give Matt LaFleur a lot of credit. Jordan Love, the franchise quarterback, got his bag over the summer, getting $55 million a year. Goes out at the end of the first game, and your first thought is Green Bay's season is done. They're probably going to go 0-3. Here they sit with 2-1 with Malik Willis. Your thoughts about that?
I'm excited for them and your team. I know we spoke multiple times about this, and when Jordan Love got injured, you thought the season was over. And who would have thought that you guys would basically win two straight back to back without Love? And it showed that you guys got some depth back there. So if Love ever gets hurt, that Willis can come in and keep it moving. And I like his style of play. It's different than Love. He gives the defense more to think about from a running aspect, but he can also throw the ball. So it's a great contrast for your team. And I guess Matt LaFleur is doing a great job at taking a different type of skill set and being able to get the best out of that skill set. You could tell he comes from the Kyle Shanahan tree, and he's doing a great job. The Packers are looking like a team that they a playoff team. They looking like they picked off right from where they left off last year, and that no matter if it's Love in there or no matter if it's Willis in there, they're doing what it takes to get the job done.
Detroit Lions 20-13 over the Cardinals. Pittsburgh 20-10 over the Chargers. The Steelers are 3-0, but they also don't look like world beaters to me. They're 3-0, but I'm not seeing a team that's been truly tested yet. But they're 3-0, and I'm happy for Justin Fields. The Jets 24-3 over the Patriots. You said it last week. The Patriots don't have anything coming, and they didn't have anything coming. Aaron Rodgers and the Jets did a little tap dance on them and sent them on their way. Minnesota 34-7 over the Houston Texans. You don't do what the Vikings did to the Houston Texans and not have something special coming out of that city. We're going to talk about the Vikings a little bit more as the show progresses. Philadelphia in a back alley brawl. This was a bare knuckle fight, and the Eagles come out on top 15-12 over the Saints. Your thoughts on that win?
That was a great game. Both of those teams are pretty good. And it showed, no one dominated, no one. It was a close, hard fought game. And Philly were able to make a few more plays at the end and get the dub. But it was definitely showing you that both of those teams are right there. And I think we're definitely going to be speaking about those teams with they both being in the NFC, and it may be a potential playoff matchup.
I loved it. That was just a back alley brawl. Like put them up. Let's settle this. And they fought that one out. The Panthers with Andy Dalton 36-22 over the Raiders. I think this was a case of the Raiders just simply overlooking Carolina and Andy Dalton being the answer and Bryce Young rightfully sitting on the bench. We'll talk more about that one a little bit later. Denver 26-7 over the Bucks. Now here I was proclaiming Baker Mayfield as a guy that's getting his just due, and then you go out and lose to Bo Nix and the Broncos. Your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, man. That's the beautiful thing about football. It's a week to week league. What have you done for me lately? You can have a great game, but if you don't put in the same effort to have the same success, the same execution the following week, you can get dog walked on national TV. So I don't think any less of Baker. It happens. They gotta find out what they're putting on tape and figure out what went wrong offensively, defensively, special teams, everything. Figure out what went wrong so that doesn't happen again. One thing I wasn't expecting is I was expecting to be a little bit more competitive matchup as far as them putting up more points, but they got to figure it out. They got to figure it out. They got next week. They can get that loss out of their system and see if they can put together a great game plan for the following week and execute it.
Well, I think Tampa Bay and the Raiders both fell victim to disregarding the team they had, and they were looking into next week. And this is the NFL. I mean, there are no University of Louisiana Monroes out there in this league. These are grown men, and you got to bring your A game every week. And if that means winning 30-0, then you're just going to have to do that, because the moment you disrespect, disregard, and underestimate a grown man, this is what happens. And I think that's what happened to the Raiders. I think that's what happened to Tampa Bay, because on paper, there's no way in the world this should have happened. And so it is what it is. Just call it, a learning experience for Baker and the Bucks. The Colts 21-16 over the Bears. Caleb Williams played a little bit better in this game, threw for almost 300 yards, in fact. But they lose one again on the road, 21-16 to the Colts. The Giants 21-15 over Cleveland. What the heck is going on in Cleveland? You let the New York Giants come into the dog pound. Now we're starting to wonder whether or not Deshaun Watson is mentally fit to stay back there as their QB1. Your thoughts on that?
I got a lot to say about this. I had to do some digging to see
Okay.
what the heck was going on in Cleveland. And from what I've seen, this is not on Deshaun Watson. This is not on Deshaun Watson. This is on that offensive coordinator who is horrible. This is the same offensive coordinator who got fired last year mid-season for the Buffalo Bills. And what's the one thing the Buffalo Bills could not do? Run the ball. And what's the one thing the Cleveland Browns cannot do? Run the ball. When I looked at the running stats, I'm like, you're not going to win a game running 14 times. You have
Yeah.
to first of all, you got to know that you're in the AFC North. It's tough defense, hard-nosed running game. Know the division you're in, know the team and how they're built that you're going to. They're not built like how Buffalo Bills were last year as far as offensively. That's not how they play football. And
Mhm.
this the same guy who got fired mid-season last year with the guy with the cape on his back If you're getting fired with the guy with the cape on his back, what do you expect him to do with Deshaun Watson if he's not playing balanced football, no running game whatsoever? Deshaun is just going back there passing it. It's on tape. They know what they're doing. They're not running the ball. They're not doing anything. They're just passing it. I feel sorry for Deshaun Watson, and the Cleveland Browns head coach needs to be fired or on the hot seat. And their offensive coordinator. You know, I know he just got there last year, but he needs to find somewhere else to go. They gotta figure it out and get some good. The owner, the GM, whoever needs to figure it out. And get some good coaches in there who know what they're doing, know what time it is in that division, and know how to operate and know how to work with Deshaun Watson moving forward. If that's going to be their franchise guy, but if you couldn't do it with the quarterback in Buffalo, like, you know, we're arguably talking about like a top 5 quarterback in the league, the guy with the cape on, then what are you going to do with Deshaun Watson? He's doing the same things. It's just that Buffalo was able to overcome not running the ball, and Deshaun Watson isn't. And that's a totally different team. So the team is built differently. So I just wanted I had to do some digging and find out, like, who is this offensive coordinator? What is going on? Let me look at this. Why aren't they running the ball? You know, what's happening here? And when I connected the dots and found out that's why, I think his name's Ken Dorsey or something like that, the offensive coordinator. Like, that's the same guy from Buffalo when they were struggling not running the ball, and he got fired mid-season last year, and he gets automatically a head coach, offensive coordinator position the following year on the Cleveland Browns. Like, that's a bad hire. Everybody, from the head coach to him, should be on the hot seat.
So we've got the Seattle Seahawks beating the Dolphins 24-3. No Tua, no chance of winning. Skylar Thompson ain't going to do it, and they're still fishing around trying to find a quarterback to come in there until they decide what they're going to do with Tua. Not looking good in Miami. The Rams 27-24 over your 49ers. The stage is yours. AS?
Yeah, man. Offensively, played a great game. Defensively, not so great. Specifically in the secondary, the safeties. We just got one of our safeties, Talanoa Hufanga, back. But we have a new defensive coordinator. He's not new to the team, but he's new as far as that position, calling the defense, and he has to figure some things out. He has to figure out, why are we not only blowing leads, but also in the fourth quarter, why are we not getting stops? It's kind of like the team can just go down the field on us too easily, and that's not the San Francisco 49ers defense that we're accustomed to playing. You know, having great defensive coaches like Robert Salah and D'Amico Ryans, and even last year, we didn't have a bad defensive coordinator, but this year, you know, it's like Brock is in the shootout every game. He had the game of his life without Debo, without George Kittle, without Christian McCaffrey, still balled out, and you know, we lost a close one. They got to tighten up that defense, got to tighten up that special teams, and play balanced football so that the defense can align with the offense, and we can turn some of these close ones into wins, and we'll be fine. I know Cal and Lynch, they're going to fix the problem. And I'm just happy it's happening early in the season and not in November, December. Whatever issues we got, let it happen now so it can be addressed. So accountability can go across the board, and they can fix what they need to fix before it starts getting cold outside, and we can get this train rolling. But hats off to the Rams, man. They came out there, believed in themselves. They have a great quarterback, and they got the dub.
So we look at the other scores. The Chiefs 22-17 over Atlanta. The Chiefs 3-0. The Ravens 28-25 over the Cowboys. There's so many problems going on in Dallas. I am not going to exhaust our audience with that. We're going to go right on over to the NFL headlines. And our first NFL headline will be the Cincinnati Bengals. Last night, as we talked about, coming up short 38-33, the final score against the Washington Commanders. They lost the opening game at home to the Patriots. They got into a slugfest with the Chiefs, but still came out on the bad end of that fight. They're 0-3. Are the Bengals the team we thought they were, Stu, or are the Commanders that good?
I think it's the Bengals are not a bad team, but they're similar to the 49ers. They're playing bad defense right now.
Okay.
We give a lot of credit to the quarterback, Joe Burrow, when they were, winning, but their defense played well. Their defense was getting stops. No, the time that they did beat the Chiefs, their defense showed up because, Patrick Mahomes, if you let him go off, you're not going to win that game.
Right.
We've seen Buffalo do it like 40 something to 40 something and they lose. So, your defense has to get stops. And hats off to Jalen, rookie QB, came in there in hostile territory. LSU versus LSU quarterback. It was a great matchup, and he was able to make some big plays. He was able to extend the drives. They went for it on fourth down multiple times and got it. He was in the groove. He looked calm. He looked confident. And even when he made a mistake, he had a short memory and made the correct read, the correct throw the next play. So hats off to the Washington Commanders. I think that they have a good young team. They finally got their franchise quarterback, and sky's the limit. He'll do nothing but get better as time progresses and he gets more and more snaps. And the Commanders definitely could be a team to look out for moving forward.
So we look at our next headline, and the other game that was played on Monday night was the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Buffalo Bills, and they were destroyed. 47-10 was the final. Trevor Lawrence got his bag over the summer as well. 55 million a year. He and Jordan Love were the two highest paid in the summer. Dak Prescott passed them at 60 mil. The Jags are starting to look like these are Urban Meyer's Jaguars. Is it time to consider pulling Trevor Lawrence for the time being?
No. He needs to be out there. You got your bag, maybe they need to trade him. I remember the conversation a few weeks ago. Is he a bust? It's starting to look like that. It's
Yeah.
starting to look like that. We have to be honest. It's starting to look like he's a bust.
Yeah.
Great college quarterback. Not so great NFL quarterback. We've seen a little progress. He made it to the playoffs, but we haven't seen consistency out of him. And
Yes.
they got to figure out what's going on because they had so much promise with that team and they haven't been able to deliver. So I don't know. I got to do a deep dive on them, similar to what I had to do with Cleveland, and see what the heck is happening, what has changed. Because the sad, it's a business in the NFL. We have great coaches, and those great coaches get promotions. They become
Yeah.
great coaches in other teams, and you have to do a great job at replacing those great coaches, finding coaches that can fit in your system and continue so that it's not a big gap, whether it's offensive, defensively, special teams, whatever. You got to maintain it, and it's not easy. It's not easy, and I don't know what's going on in Jacksonville, but something is going on in Jacksonville, with Trevor Lawrence and company, and they got to figure it out. He needs to be on that field, going through it with the team. Pulling the plug on him is giving up on the season, and you don't want that moving forward. Even if they do a complete rebuild, you want to see who fought to the end, who gave up, or who continued to ball, who continued to play, and who continued to show effort even in a losing season. Those are the type of things that you look for in when rebuilding a team. So they got to get out there and they got to figure it out. I mean, it's still early. There's still time. Stranger things have happened. So, it's not over for them. But if they continue in the trajectory that they're going right now, it will be another failed season.
you look at the San Francisco 49ers, and we talked a little bit about it at the front end of this show. And they started out with a beatdown, a complete beatdown of the New York Jets without Christian McCaffrey. And so much so they decided that they would put McCaffrey on IR. I forget the young man's name that came in his stead, but he balled
Mason.
out, and the 49ers felt like, hey, we'll be okay. Let's let Christian get healthy and go with the guy that's replacing him. And then all of a sudden, the Vikings beat you in Minnesota. We're coming to find out now the Vikings are pretty good. And then this week, losing to a Ram team that was destroyed by the Cardinals a week prior, 41-10. And you mentioned it. What's going on with the 49ers defense, which leads me to the ultimate question. Is there cause for concern in San Francisco?
Yes. Concern, yes. Panic, no. Now
Okay.
is not the time to panic, but there is some concern. Offense, they're balling. Christian McCaffrey is not there, but we're running the ball great. Wide receivers are making plays. No Debo, no Kittle last game, no McCaffrey. Offense played a great game.
Yeah.
Defensively, is cause for concern, especially from the safeties, the DBs, the scheme. We've put something on tape in the Minnesota game, and we haven't corrected it. We haven't fixed it. And this is a copycat league. If you put something on tape, another team is going to try to execute the same thing until you fix that problem. So it's up to the defensive coordinator, Kyle, to figure out what's going on defensively and make those corrections. Um, and splash plays. No one's dinking and dunking on us. It's splash plays. We're giving up big plays, and it's coming back to bite us in the butt. So they got to figure that out. Whether that's playing a little bit more conservative, and letting them get the plays off underneath, and not giving up the big one, because we can't keep continuing to give up the big plays and win football games. Offense is bailing us out. They're living up to their side of the ball. Defensively, we are not. They got to figure it out, whether it's a team meeting. But as far as the coordinator, with him being a first-time defensive coordinator, he has to figure that out. And I figured there'd be a couple situations like this, but I didn't see it happening back to back. But they got to fix it fast. Seahawks are undefeated. The Rams are right there. Arizona's good. Um, you know, Teams around us are getting better, and we know what we have and what we're capable of doing. But unless you get that dub on Sunday, it doesn't mean anything. You can be the best team on the field, but if they're not turning that into a win, it doesn't mean anything. And they got to get back to playing balanced, complementary, winning football. And that's what we're accustomed to doing, and we're not doing it right now. They got to figure it out. It's definitely time for concern.
So we switch over, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to the Maurice Brown Comedy Show NFL edition on BogRadio.fm with Antoine A.S. Stewart. Let's switch gears to the Green Bay Packers, my team, who watched Jordan Love go down in Brazil against the Eagles with 5 seconds remaining. Looked like it was a terrible injury. Turns out it's an MCL sprain, but he has not returned. And in his stead has been Malik Willis. And he's been able to get 2 straight wins for Green Bay after losing to Philadelphia. They're sitting at 2-1. And you wonder, should the Packers consider starting Malik Willis against the Vikings to give Jordan Love more time to heal?
Absolutely. You've won 2 straight games with him. I wouldn't pull him unless absolutely necessary. Let Jordan Love heal fully. He has no need to rush back in. You guys have won back-to-back games. Uh, Continue to let Malik Willis develop and do his thing. So that way in the future, if you ever have to go to a quarterback number 2, like, okay, next man up mentality. Not that the season is over. I think that Green Bay is a lot better than what a lot of people think, especially defensively. Your defense has been balling out. They've been getting picks, turnovers, um, playing great complementary football. Green Bay is showing why they are legit a playoff team. I know it's early, but they was no um, the aggression. They've picked back up right where they left off from the postseason, and they've shown it. And that you guys are a good all around team. That the offense can carry them when they need to, and the defense can carry them when they need to. I think the first game Willis played, the defense kind of carried them, and then last game, Willis went off. Had a great game running the football and passing the football. So I think Green Bay is right where they need to be. Jordan Love take his time. He no rush getting back. I know he's going to want to. The competitive nature in him, and he's going to want to rush to come back. Like, I don't want to lose my starting job. But like, you got the starting job. Just take your time and let Willis handle things until you're ready to come back.
Yeah, I mean, Willis threw for 202 yards against the Titans, 73 yards on the ground, a sound 30-14 win by the Pack on the road against Tennessee. Let's look at the team the Packers will face this Sunday, a division rival in the Minnesota Vikings. No one saw this apparent juggernaut that's developing in Minnesota, led by a guy that's been pretty much a castaway after 5 seasons in the NFL, Sam Darnold. Had a horrible stint in New York. He was with your boys in San Francisco last year as a second or third string quarterback. And now he's in Minnesota and he's dazzling. Are Sam Darnold and the Minnesota Vikings, Stu, for real?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. They absolutely are until they prove otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah.
They've shown some consistency. That defense is for real. Um, that running game is for real. And Sam, with the talent around him and with the coaches around him, he's showing like, hey, I could have been this all along if I wasn't in Carolina, if I wasn't on, these mediocre teams with mediocre coaches and a mediocre culture. He's coming into a situation and showing that no, I do have skills. I can play some winning football if I have the right talent and coaching around me, and he's showing that right now. This is his prove it year to show who he really is. Players don't get to pick the teams they drafted to, unfortunately, but he's showing that he's played the bounce around game in the NFL from this team to that team, and he's finally in the right situation for him where he can be all that he can be, and he's showing that he is a good quarterback in this league. Great, we've yet to see that, but he's in the right situation where he can prove, just like Baker and a few other quarterbacks, that he may have been overlooked, but this is the guy that Carolina drafted. It was just the wrong team.
From one cast-off quarterback to another, Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton has been in the league for about 14 seasons. Started his first 4 years off in Cincinnati as a playoff quarterback. Didn't get beyond the first round, but he took the Bengals to the playoffs his first 4 seasons. And he started to fall off after that to the point where he became a journeyman, sat behind Bryce Young last year. And we all thought Bryce Young, although he did not have a good rookie campaign, you figure coming in this year he'd be a little bit better, and he got even worse. And all of a sudden, you throw Andy Dalton into the mix, and Carolina seemingly can't be stopped offensively. Did Andy Dalton's performance against the Raiders, where they won 36-22, I think Andy threw for 4 TDs, did that seal Bryce Young's fate in Carolina?
I'm not going to say it sealed his fate, but as far as starting this year, unless something crazy happens to Andy, I think he'll just be in his. We were talking last week about him being on the team where he could sit behind a vet and learn, and I think he just got that situation in Carolina, because Andy showed that, yeah, the Raiders may have overlooked us, but they knew that Andy was starting. He's a vet in the league. He's been on Cincinnati for a long time, had some great AJ Green and other great receivers. The guy can deliver the ball. He's seen everything. And that's the type of leadership that that team needs. And that's the type of leadership that Bryce Young can learn from and learn how to lead men on the battlefield. And, the talent around them, everyone's confidence, it seems like they're playing with more swag. They're playing with more confidence, because their quarterback is confident, and he's a real leader. He's been around. So that's what a young team needs sometimes. They need a vet who can lead them on the battlefield, make the plays that he needs to make, and not turn the ball over. So I'm happy for Carolina, and hopefully the young guy Bryce gets to learn from a veteran quarterback, and he'll have another shot to prove that he's that guy. But he definitely has to take this in and not hang his head down about it, but be motivated to learn. And when he gets his chance, capitalize on it.
So I was talking about the Dallas Cowboys earlier, how there tons of drama in Dallas after losing to the Ravens at home, 30. Check that, 28-25. They've been blown out the last three home games that they've had. They've had about 85 points put on them, and they did come back, but they still lost the ball game against the Ravens after being down 28-6. And there was arguing on the sidelines. There was Micah Parsons. There was CeeDee Lamb. Even Dak called some people out. And it sounds like mutiny in Dallas. Is Mike McCarthy, Stu, in danger of losing the locker room in Dallas?
If we're being honest, I don't think he ever had it.
Uh-oh.
I don't think Mike McCarthy ever had the locker room. But that's Jerry Jones for you.
Yeah.
You want to get these submissive coaches that are going to do anything you say. They're never going to get the real respect of their team because they know that Jerry's in control and he's running the team behind Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy is just a yes man. So, those type of coaches, you're never really going to have the real respect of the locker room, truly. And that's the issue in Dallas. It starts with the head. It starts with Jerry Jones.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
And if he keeps continuing to run the team the same way he's been doing it, he's going to continue to get the same results. And that's losing seasons, falling short, giving false hope to his fans. And, the television companies love him, though, because a lot of the Dallas fans that are breaking all these TVs, they have to buy new ones. So hats off to Jerry for definitely for people buying new TVs. So that's the only good thing I can say about it.
So our last headline of for the show will be in Pittsburgh. We had Justin Fields, a quarterback heading in the wrong direction in Chicago, picked up by the Steelers, and Mike Tomlin now and has Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, two quarterbacks that were discarded. They're 3-0. Has Justin Fields, as Russell Wilson continues to heal from different types of nagging injuries, at 3-0, has Justin Fields in Pittsburgh locked up QB1?
I wouldn't say it's locked up, but I would say that his stock is up.
Okay.
Justin Fields' stock is up.
Okay.
He's younger. He's taking care of the football. They're winning games. He's getting better. He's getting more confident. He's learning to take what the defense is giving you. And every play doesn't have to be a spectacular play and then you lose yardage or throw the ball and get a pick and stuff like that. He's growing right before our eyes, and it takes to be in the right situation to do that with the right coaches. They have the right game plan with the right defense. Everything, the stars are aligning for Justin Fields, and all he has to do is continue to do what he's been doing and taking it one game at a time, and getting better in his craft without running for his life like he was doing in Chicago. So I'm happy for Justin Fields. I'm glad that Pittsburgh picked him up, and then Russ seems like that he was a good cheerleader this week. So if things continue to go the way that they are, I think Justin Fields will lock up that starting position. But right now, I just think his stock is up, but it's not locked up completely.
I would agree with that. At 3-0, none of the wins have been like mesmerizing. They've been tough, solid wins. His quarterback play has been acceptable, and nothing to write home to mom about. But they're 3-0. So Russell Wilson waits in the wings, and the Pittsburgh Steelers will probably, as you accurately stated, we know Mike Tomlin is an even guy. He's going to take it from game to game. We're going to look at the NFL Power 5 here on the Maurice Brown Comedy Show, NFL edition on bogradio.fm. And we're going to start out with the NFC. And as it stands right now, this is going to be a weird Power 5 that I put together, but I've got the Vikings at number 1, followed by the Seahawks in the NFC, Philadelphia, Detroit, and New Orleans. Your thoughts?
I'm not mad with it. I'm not
Okay.
mad with it. I think it's as far as 3 weeks in, those are your top 5 teams.
Yeah.
Those are the guys that have produced the most, and those are some pretty solid teams. The NFC is showing to be better than what we thought preseason.
Yeah.
There's some smoke to go around. There's some dogs out there. So I definitely agree with your top 5.
I think a lot of the teams that we expected to be in this top 5 are getting out of the gate slow, whether it be because of injury or multiple injuries, the resurgence of teams we didn't see coming. A lot of factors go into our current Power 5.
I do
In
want to say one thing. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I would change one thing.
Okay.
The Packers got to be in the top 5. I'm gonna tell you why.
Okay.
Not too many teams can, when the starting quarterback gets hurt, can they continue to win?
Okay.
That's showing you really how deep that team is and how
Okay.
talented that team is. If Detroit's quarterback, Saints quarterback, Eagles quarterback, or the Seahawks or Minnesota's quarterback goes out, I don't think they continue to win.
Okay.
I didn't think you guys would continue to win, but you've shown that, yes, Jordan Love is your starter, but we can win without him until he comes back. So I whether it's the Detroit Lions or the Saints, I would sneak the Packers in there because that's showing a lot. That actually is more scary than what a lot of these other teams are doing. That's showing that the Packers are for real. When your starting quarterback goes out early and you continue to win back-to-back games, that's showing that, Green Bay is not to be played with. So I would definitely put the Packers in the top 5.
The only thing I can say to you about that as a Packer fan is respect. Let's go to the AFC, and I have my Power 5 as follows: Kansas City at 3-0, once again number 1. But they're followed by Buffalo, Pittsburgh, the upsurgent Jets, and the LA Chargers. Your thoughts on this Power 5?
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate. Would it being early, you got teams like Baltimore, and if they get to clicking, they can creep in there. But I think you should turn into a Power 6 and put the refs number 1, then the Chiefs. Because those refs, man, I tell you, man, the Chiefs definitely got something going on in the game. But no, I think that's an accurate Power 5. The Chiefs are back-to-back, defending Super Bowl champs. They're going for the three-peat. Buffalo, they haven't really been tested, but they're playing great ball. The Steelers are right there. They're undefeated. The Jets have a lot of upside because we know if Aaron can stay healthy with that defense and those playmakers, they're going to be a problem.
Yes.
I can't wait to see the Jets mix it up with the Bills and the Steelers and those teams. So, and the Chargers, they're a good team. Their quarterback got hurt. I think that had a lot to do with the loss because they were playing against a great Steelers defense. And, Steelers were able to squeak out that win. So I think that top 5 is pretty accurate.
I think the Chargers would have been better served to have followed Green Bay's lead here and just sat Herbert altogether in this particular game,
Yeah,
and just to give him time to heal because he came in there with a high ankle sprain and
yeah.
he wasn't playing well to begin with, and they eventually knocked him out. But that being said, that is my Power Five for the AFC. The NFL now for the entire league, I have as follows: with the Chiefs number one, the referees notwithstanding, Minnesota at number two, followed by Buffalo, Pittsburgh, and Seattle at number five. Your thoughts?
Yeah, that's that. I think that's pretty good. It's early. A lot of these teams were waiting to see them get tested, like the Buffalo Bills. The Vikings have been tested and have passed the test, so I think it's
Yeah,
rightfully
yeah,
for them to be at the number two spot.
yeah.
Um, Steelers and Seahawks, that can go either way. So I can't argue with that list. It's pretty accurate. It's early. There's a lot to see, and
Yeah.
I think so far that's pretty spot on.
I tell you, you look at the Vikings, and you mentioned they passed the test, and they did. If you looked at them compared with Buffalo, Buffalo's beating the teams they're supposed to be able to beat, and no shade on them. But the Vikings beat the San Francisco 49ers, a Super Bowl team from last year, and then they took a Super Bowl contender, say, in Houston, and they mollywopped them like they were nobody. And I go, whoa, I don't know what the Vikings are doing right now, but I think we got to give a lot of credit to Kevin O'Connell
Yeah.
because he's an underrated coach in my mind because he draws up great schemes. And when you take a journeyman quarterback like Sam Darnold and make him look like Joe Montana, you got to start looking at the head coach like, wow, what is Kevin O'Connell and that coaching staff doing over there in Minnesota? They are a team to be reckoned with going forward. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Um, so we're going to now switch gears and take a look at week 4 coming up in the NFL, the matchups in week 4. You're listening to the Maurice Brown Comedy Show on BondRadio.fm, the NFL edition. So coming up in week 4, we are going to start out with the Thursday night game, and that's going to be the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants. That's going to be at 8:15 on Prime Video. Now, at first, we thought this was going to be a joke of a matchup. 2 weeks ago, we said this is a laugher. Why even cut the radio on? And all of a sudden, the Cowboys are 1-2. The Giants are 2-1. All of a sudden, I believe the Giants are 2-1. And actually, I think they're 1-2. They played a
One and
tough
two.
game against the Commanders, so they're
Yeah.
both 1-2. They go to the dog pound and win, and in the same place where the Cowboys got their only win of the season. And we're kind of looking at an NFC East tilt, if you will. This ought to be a good matchup. Your thoughts on this one, Stu?
I think it's a trap game for the Cowboys.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
Cowboys are supposed to be the better team. They got the playmakers. They got everything that be all you could be that they say that they are. The quarterback and the defensive end and then the flashy receivers and stuff like that. So this is a game the Cowboys should win, but we know a little bit about football. Divisional games are a toss up. Uh, the Giants could easily win this game. They're at home. They have a little momentum going on their side. Regardless of how they won the game in Cleveland, they have some confidence and they want to stack that confidence. And what better way to do it than to beat the Cowboys? I do think that if the Giants do beat the Cowboys, uh, there may be some mental and psychological help that needs to go out to these Cowboy fans, because if they were breaking TVs last week, only God knows what they're going to do if they lose to the Giants. So I think we definitely should get some help out to the Dallas fans. If you know a Dallas Cowboy fan, show him some love this week, give him a hug, keep his spirits high, because if he if he loses, he may hit rock bottom.
This is a game, I'm going to be honest with you, Stu. This is a game Dallas cannot lose. This is the kind of thing that can upend your entire season. On the road against a division foe who's playing better. Like the Giants are playing better. They played the Commanders, who whipped the Bengals last night. Well, they didn't whip them, but they put a lot of points up on the Bengals and won the ball game. But they only lost 21-18 to the Commanders in Washington. And so all of a sudden, you're looking at the Giants and like, okay, they're starting to straighten some things out. This is a trap game, Stu, as you accurately stated, and the Cowboys need to be ready to play some ball. We're going to switch over to Sunday at 1 o'clock, and we've got the Vikings and the Packers. This is an NFC North tilt right here. What's your call on this one?
Man, I'm gonna go with the Vikings, but I wouldn't be shocked if the Packers won either. Only because, as we mentioned earlier, the Vikings did beat the 49ers. They did beat the Texans. Those are high quality teams. Have the Packers hit their ceiling as far as how many games they could win with the backup quarterback? But one thing that's going to keep the Packers in this game is that defense. That defense doesn't get a lot of love because we're not accustomed to saying Packers and defense in the same sentence. But that defense is for real. Those cornerbacks are for real. It's going to be a good game. I know Minnesota better not sleep on the Packers. I know that. Because if they do, the Packers are going to give them all that they can handle. And with that new style of quarterback, it's not a lot of tape on them. It's a lot of tape on that style, but that style is so unpredictable when the quarterback can run the ball. It becomes 11 on 11 football, and it could be a tough thing. We haven't seen Minnesota against that style yet. The Texans, he's more of a pocket guy. He can run a little bit, but he more looking down the field to throw bombs. So with a guy who can escape the pocket and run and have some design runs, that could definitely open up some things for the Packers. So I think it's going to be a great game, and it's not going to be a landslide or one-sided. One team is just going to dog walk the other. I think it's going to be a dog fight.
Well, the Packers are blessed that this one is going to be at Lambeau Field with a
Yeah.
backup quarterback. Now, there's not been any statement about the status of Jordan Love, and it's early in the week. But if he's not a 100% go health wise, and you've won 2 games without him, it might be a good idea to just let him sit one more time. I mean, I don't think the Packers can beat the Vikings without Jordan Love. I'll just say that to you. But I will say it's a game where you can go, all right, we can accept 2-2. But I think the Packers and Vikings are the marquee game of the 1 o'clock games on Sunday. Definitely one to watch. Denver and the Jets also at 1 o'clock. Don't think there's a whole lot to say about that. Congratulations, Bo Nix, on your one and only win in the NFL as a starter. The Saints and the Falcons at 1 o'clock, an NFC South Division hookup. The Eagles and the Bucks down in Tampa Bay at 1 o'clock. The Bengals take on the Panthers, and the Jags go to Houston. The Texans are going to be ornery. I feel sorry for Jacksonville and Trevor. The Steelers taking on the Indianapolis Colts. The Rams travel to Chicago to take on the Bears. Your thoughts on this matchup and Caleb Williams' maturation going into week 4, Stu?
Well, you're playing against a Rams team that are pretty confident coming off of a victory over the 49ers. And unfortunately for Caleb Williams, I don't think this is a win. They got a lot of issues to figure out, and they're playing against a team with a great quarterback. And even though he has injuries to his top 2 Pro Bowl wide receivers, they can still get it done, and they've shown that. So I think Caleb Williams is going to have another long week of preparation and another long week after they lose to the Rams at home.
So, what are your thoughts on his progression as a quarterback after 3 weeks of play in the league?
Um, I don't want to. I can't honestly go in depth because I haven't really been studying him in depth, and I don't want to do him any injustices. But from the stats and what I'm seeing, it seems like they're having offensive line struggles. It seems like he's not accurate with the football down the field. In the NFL, those windows are super tight, and you got to be confident and you got to let it rip. You don't have all day to think about it, and you can't be second guessing yourself because you'll be back there seeing ghosts, and then you'll be playing fidgety football and hot potato with the football. So I think he's going through the rookie woes and he's going through those ups and downs. And unfortunately, he's on a bad team. I'm just going to say it is what it is. Bad team as far as from the coaching on down. Yeah, they do have a few playmakers on that team, but coaching matters. And
Yes.
I don't think it gets said enough. You think that it's like fantasy football, you put together this person and that person. But a lot of times, I think the Pittsburgh Steelers show that coaching matters. You don't need the best people to win, but you do need great coaching. You do need a great game plan, and you do need great execution. And a lot of that comes with belief. Do you have control of the locker room? Does the team believe in you, and do they believe in the game plan, giving them the confidence to execute that game plan? And I don't think Chicago is there. I think this is a tough Rams team, even though they're not 100%. You don't need to be 100% to beat this Bears team, unfortunately. So I think it's going to be another learning lesson for Caleb Williams, and he'll have to take it in stride.
So at 4:05, we've got the Commanders traveling to Arizona, which should be a rather entertaining game. We'll see if the Commanders can keep up their hot uh, winning ways against the Cardinals, against Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. The Patriots take on your boys, the 49ers, and that should be a laugher in San Francisco. Let's have a party by the Bay. At 4:25, the Browns take on the Raiders. The Chiefs take on the Chargers. And then Sunday night on NBC and Peacock at 8:20, it is the Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore
Hmm.
Ravens, which might be the game of the week. Your thoughts on this matchup, Stu?
Man, this is definitely going to be a good one. I'm going to give the Bills the nod.
Okay.
How they've been playing. I know this is their first decent test that we're going to see, but Josh Allen has definitely been playing out of his mind, and the Ravens have to show that yes, you beat the Cowboys this week, but can you do it against a team that's rolling hot? The Cowboys weren't playing good football. Can you do it against Buffalo Bills? Can you do it with the guy with the cape on, who's going to stretch that defense, going to make throw those deep, accurate plays? He's going to run the ball. They're going to play defense on that side of the ball. So I'm going to give the Bills the nod, but I'm rooting for the Ravens.
That should be the game of the week. I think we're going to find out a lot about Buffalo. I think this is going to be the first real test the Bills have had, all year going into Week 4, and we'll find out how much Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens are, how much they've learned at 1 and 2, and what they have in Derrick Henry, who they used as a battering ram against the Cowboys. And let's see if they follow suit against Buffalo. That's the game of the week, I think, as far as I'm concerned, for Week 4 on Monday night on ESPN and ABC. It's another doubleheader starting at 7:30 with the Tennessee Titans and the Miami Dolphins. There's absolutely nothing to say about that game other than it's on. And then at 8:15, it's the Seattle Seahawks and the Detroit Lions. Your thoughts on that matchup?
That's going to be a good one. That's going to be a good one. Seattle, they're rolling in 3-0. I believe the Lions are 2-1. Two good teams, two potential playoff teams. Detroit is at home. And I think that's a game that we get to see what both of those teams are made out of, and see who gets it done, man. Man, that's really a 50-50 game. I can give Detroit the edge because they're at home, but that's a tough Seattle team that runs the ball well. They pass the ball well and they play defense. So that's going to be a great matchup.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be a great matchup. I think Seattle is really rolling right now. Detroit is a Super Bowl contending team that's yet really to play up to the standard that we expect them to outside of week one against the Rams. But they are a Super Bowl contender legitimately. There's no question about it. And it's going to be in Detroit. Going to be a great atmosphere. Monday Night Football. They're going to be waiting for Seattle. I think this is more of a game where we get to find out exactly how good Seattle is and how worthy they are of a Power 5 ranking and a 3-0 record, which is where they stand at this point. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to the Maurice Brown Comedy Show, NFL Edition on bogradio.fm. If you have enjoyed this show, well, hey, like it and share it and subscribe to the Maurice Brown Comedy Hour. You can also hear this show on Spotify and where all major podcasts are heard. We're going to dip out of here. Thanks for hanging out with us this morning, this evening, and this morning. And Stu, I want to thank you for being on the show. We will talk next week. May the peace of Christ be with you and your families, everybody. God bless.